Whether you have a family or you're looking to raise a family, the question always is it a good place to raise kids? So today we're going to get into that. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Casey Gray. I'm a realtor, a mom, and I love helping families sell their first house and buy their dream home. And today I'm going to kind of be answering the question what it's like raising kids in Ukiah. And while I can't really say if it's good or bad or if it's different because I only know my experience of being raised here and my experience raising a child here, I haven't done it anywhere else. So I'm going to go through, and also keep in mind my child is 2. So, you know, I haven't been doing it for that long, but I do want to talk about, you know, some of the pros and cons and go through, you know, kind of the livelihood of a child and what Ukiah has to offer or doesn't have to offer. I would love to hear your thoughts below on if you were raised here or are raising kids here, if you weren't raised here, why you decided to raise kids here, or any of your thoughts or opinions. So let's get into it. Starting at the very beginning, labor and delivery and prenatal care. I do go for care for her, and I'm currently pregnant right now. I have a video up about my experience being pregnant and delivering in Ukiah, and I had a good experience. I know not everyone has a great experience. Some people have better experiences, but I talked about my experience, and I do think that we are limited on options. There's not a ton of gynos available for your choosing. You know, care for her is one of the only options at this point in time. Previously there's been lots of other options, but currently that's the main option, and not everybody loves that. And then there's also several different more natural facilities like Bloom Birthing Center and a couple of other different options out there as well. I do think that we have several options, but maybe not as many as most, but we definitely have more than some. So that's my thoughts on that. When it comes to daycare, I do think we're a little bit limited, but there are a ton of facilities under 2. Finding care for kids under 2 is pretty hard, as it is just such a limited option. I would love to have a daycare facility kind of like the gym where you can just go and like take your kid for a couple of hours, but we don't have any of those sort of options besides the gym, of course, which I think it's great that we have a gym that offers that. I think it's great for, you know, stay-at-home moms or just moms in general that need a couple extra help with being able to, you know, go work out and have your kid get watched, because not everybody has family where you live, and so that's one thing to kind of consider as well. As far as like finding babysitters, I've had a pretty lucky go at it and been able to find, you know, some nannies and some babysitters, and for that I'm very thankful. But I know one of the pros is that being in a small town, you can ask for recommendations. You know, you have friends that have teenagers, or our instance, we have nieces and nephews that are of age to babysit, so that's great. But when it came to looking for a daycare facility, we were on a wait list for a while, and there seems to be that problem in most places too, I would think, especially for under 2. But there are several different preschools available for once your kid is a bit older, which is great. I think there could probably always be more resources when it comes to kids just in any area, but that one definitely probably could use some more. When it comes to pediatric doctors, the emergency rooms, we have had pretty good success of getting ourselves into the pediatrics. We go to the Mendocino Community Health Clinic, and we see a regular pediatrician there for checkups and such, but when we have been sick, we have had pretty good success at getting people in to, or getting my daughter in to be seen. And thankfully I haven't had to take her to an emergency room, but I know that a lot of families have struggled with finding care for sick children and having to take them to the emergency room because there's not enough, or there's no sick appointments for the pediatrician's office, or there's just not a ton of providers. But I do think that Adventist Health is working on trying to be better and more equipped for things like that. The family medical providers at Adventist Health had opened extended office hours for when there was an increase of sick people so that they could kind of keep people out of the ERs. But we have one ER here, and then the ER in Willits has great recommendations typically, and for the 20-minute drive, it's sometimes probably worth it to go up there. I think that sick season is tough on everybody and nobody wants to go through it. The pediatricians, the children, the moms, the dads, whoever. And so having more resources for that would be great. But as far as pediatricians go, for normal, not sick times, we've had a great experience. So next up on my kind of categories, we're going to talk about sports. Everything from BMX to soccer to football. I think we have a ton of great programs. There's new cheerleading programs coming, or that are evolving, I guess. If you're able, or your kid has any interest in signing up for sports, I think there's lots of different options. During the Pumpkin Fest parade, the BMX team had like hundreds of bikes rolling through, and so I thought that was super cute. And then as always, we have the Pop Warner football team. There are a lot of different options. I'm not that at that point in my life yet for my child, but I do remember growing up there were plenty of options, whether it was traveling soccer leagues or city rec leagues. There was lots of options, and I think that's still the case today. Some people who want their kids to go further in sports send their kids to bigger schools nearby. A lot of kids go to Cardinal Newman to try to get further into sports or get more recognized or recruited. So I don't have a ton of experience with that because I was never a sports girly, but I know that is an option if you are dedicated to getting your child to the major leagues. When it comes to schools, we have a ton of options, both private and public and charter. We have one immersion program that teaches kids to speak Spanish and English throughout their grade school, and then we have several different middle schools and one large high school, and a couple of different programs that go off of it. I have a full video on schools if you want to see more. They're listed in my guide to unlocking Ukiah, but I think public school is public school and private schools are private schools, and they're pretty much the same no matter what town you live in. I guess I've never lived in a different town, so I don't know, but I think they all have their pros and cons. Each individual teacher has their pros and cons. Each student has their pros and cons. So I think obviously you have to find the right fit for yourself. I know lots of families drive over 15 minutes to take their kids to a different school. It just really depends on you and what your needs are. When it comes to indoor activities, we are pretty limited. There's a new facility coming called Mindo Leap that is hoping to have an indoor playground for children. We just got an indoor miniature golfing place. I think it's not open yet. Neither of those are. We previously had a bowling alley. It was closed and replaced with a Harbor Freight, which is a bummer, but I guess there's a reason why it closed. We previously had a skating rink and it closed. I think, like everything for children, a wonderful idea, and it's a bummer when it's gone, but so rarely does it get used that it makes sense for people, or people retire. So I think it's great that we're seeing some new businesses come and evolve and make some activities for when it's super rainy like it is this week. I also take my daughter to Stars Gymnastics for toddler time, and then they have a ton of different classes, which is all indoors, which is great. There are several different dance studios that offer, family classes, or yoga studios that offer, kid classes for children. I've talked about the gym daycare, which is more for little kids, but it is a nice little place to get them kind of exposed to other kids. We have several gaming places, Slam Dunk and Next Level Gaming, and Sword and Board does fun game activities. Other than that, we're pretty limited on things to do indoors. But when it comes to outdoor activities, we have a ton of different parks, hiking trails, sports, and we have the River Valley Outdoor Education Project. which is a super fun place to visit. Typically schools will take a field trip out there, but it is great. We have several softball fields that have recreational leagues, and then it would be super awesome to have facility with soccer fields and other resources, but we aren't too far away from those types of facilities, so that's another pro, I guess. When I was little, we drove to Santa Rosa every weekend pretty much to play indoor soccer, so I think that if you have kids that are passionate about something, you'll find a way to live out that passion. And when it comes to kind of like resources and our location, you know, we are pretty close to the city. We are pretty close to, you know, higher medical grade facilities, though we don't have any here. I wouldn't say we're entirely too far away from them. UC Davis is just a couple hours away, and the city's close if you need to go shopping or catch an international flight or all these things. So I would say I had an experience growing up in Ukiah. It is a small town, so everybody knows everybody, and I got told on plenty of times when I was going 5 miles over the speed limit or doing something I wasn't supposed to. So when I was younger, you know, it wasn't my favorite place, but now that I'm a grown-up, and I'm so thankful to have family close by, to know a lot of people, and to have all these resources available to me. So that's my experience. I'd love to hear from you guys about raising kids. I googled it and it said that we are a C, which isn't failing, I guess. But I think it just depends on who you are and who rates that and who leaves those ratings. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.